cool status a couple times. Everyone liked me. I liked everyone. And I remember one time in my life when I was a bully. There was this young man in my class. We were both in 7th grade, and he just smelled funny, and he didn't look right. His clothes were wrong and not stylish. I wanted to tell him how wrong he was for being that way. I'll never forget. You hear me, young people, especially. I'll never forget. This young man with tears in his eyes ran out of the classroom. And later that evening, they found a suicide note because of something I said. Guess what? I didn't want to be a bully anymore. I didn't want to be too cool for somebody else at that point. Thank God someone found him and saw him and dealt with him. And years later, as an adult, as a grown man, I was working on the railroad for Kansas City Southern Railroad. I went and I found this man. I went to him and I said, "I'm so sorry for what I've done to you when we were kids. I'm so sorry that I was so self-righteous that I couldn't see that it wasn't your fault and how you were. But I was too blind, too self-righteous to understand what I was supposed to do on my part." Amen. Self-righteousness is a blinder. Self-righteousness is a blinder. I like in my notes here, we get so self-righteous, we don't even want to get in the water to get wet. God's calling out to His people. God is calling out to His people to come and dwell with Him. But we are so self-righteous. Every one of us, we're not willing to say, "God, I'll take a chance. I'll dwell with you." We want to be too good. That's hard preaching. That's hard preaching even for me. I better get off that. We all have these moments of self-righteousness. When you don't let someone come to your church because of the way they act or the people are beneath your own testimony. Let's remember, we all were without Christ at one time. Amen. Isaiah 64:6 says, "But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, have taken us away." Get off the porch of self-righteousness. Love somebody like you've never loved them before. Even if they don't fit the mold. Even if you're not supposed to be, even if society tells you don't love them that way. Love them with all your heart. Love them as Jesus would do. The next porch I want to talk about is the porch of unbelief. This is one that I really struggle with sometimes, even as a man of God, as a former pastor, as a man walking in Christian work. Sometimes I just don't believe. Amen. But that's okay. I recall a story in the Bible where a man came to Jesus. Jesus asked him, "Do you believe?" He said, "I believe, but help thou mine unbelief." Yes, amen. I find myself every day saying, "Jesus, I believe with everything I have, but help that unbelief that's still in me." Tonight there's people here, you've already tuned me out because you don't believe. One of the reasons God does not work the way we want to is because sometimes we don't believe that it truly can happen. I've seen the lame walk. I've seen deaf ears unstopped. And even now, sometimes I wonder, God, can you do? And friends, the exciting part is, can I skip on down my notes and tell you? The exciting part is, every time He shows me in some way that He still can. Amen. It might not always be the way that I want it. Might not always be the way that I expected. But God, even in His sovereignty, comes down and shows me, I'm still God. I'm still God. Amen. I'm still God. This night was birthed from a belief that God Almighty can hear our prayers, can revive our homes, church, and communities. Revival, church, hear me. I'm talking about revival. And I'm just a one-night blow-in-the-wind preacher. But let me tell you, revival can come to Wilburton. Amen. I've seen it. Amen. I've experienced it. I've been a part of it. Revival like you never could imagine can come into this community. Listen to me, young people. Listen to me. Revival can come into this community like you could never imagine. And I believe that it's going to come in such a way, quickly and soon, that when some of you that are younger are like some of those that are older, you'll say, I remember when the revival of 2017, of 2018 came through Wilburton, and all in the community were saved. I believe that can happen here in Wilburton. I remember I saw a picture. I'm from Panama, Oklahoma. Anybody know what Panama, Oklahoma is?
Yes.
Glory to God. We're not too far from home. I came from Panama, Oklahoma, and I remember I was assistant pastor at the Assembly of God there in Panama. And we were cleaning out some closets to make some space. I come across this picture of like 1950-something, black and white. And there were people in white gowns at a river, as far as I could see, up in the hills. Everywhere there were people. I remember going, finding an elder in the church. I said, can you tell me about this? And I love those stories. It says, back in 1953, that's when revival came through Panama, and all were saved. I believe that can happen in this community. I believe that, I believe, somebody say, I believe. I believe that revival can come to this church, can come to this community. Quit being so unbelieving that God can't intervene in your situation. Quit saying it's too far, too lost, too long. God can trouble your waters. As soon as we have faith as the size of a mustard seed, God can intervene. Yes. Mark 9:20-27 says, and they brought him unto him. And we saw him straightway, the Spirit tear him. And he fell to the ground and wallowed foaming. And he asked his father, how long is it since this came unto him? And he said, of a child. This is Jesus talking to a father. And oft times they have cast him in the fire, into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, but help thou mine unbelief. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him and enter him no more. And the spirit cried and rent him sore and came out of him. And he was one as dead, and so much that many said, he is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. We may believe tonight, but we must pray every hint of unbelief to leave our hearts. Every hint of it that says, well, maybe it's not possible. That's the enemy trying to lie to us. I preached this morning at the River Church with Pastor Mullins. And I preached on the edge of the promised land. The Israelites, they sent spies to the promised land. And some of them came back. 2 of them came back with a good report saying, let's take it. They had grapes. One cluster had to be carried between 2 men. And 10 of them said, we look as grasshoppers in their eyes. They didn't believe. And because of their unbelief, they never got the promise. Unbelief can stop us from receiving the promises that God has for us tonight. I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm not talking about next week. I'm talking, can you believe that God has promises for you tonight? Amen. In this place, that's right. And in this time? Right. If we would only believe, God help us. We believe, but help that unbelief. Last porch I want to talk about is the porch of waiting on man. You know why we've all sat here? It's the climactic ceremony of church. We come here, we sing some songs, we get up, we have preaching, and you know what I'm going to do at the end. I'll invite you to an altar. But the truth of the matter is, you don't have to wait on this man to let God intervene in your life. Sometimes we get so stuck on the porch of man. Well, we got to have a pastor. No, you need a pastor. But he doesn't have to pray that you be healed. You can pray that you be healed.
Amen. That's right. Amen.
Say, well, our pastor needs to go visit our neighbor. No, don't be waiting on that man. Your pastor doesn't need to go visit your neighbor. You need to go visit your neighbor. Or our pastor, he needs to do this and this and this. I can say this because I'm not one now. Your pastor doesn't need to do anything but pray and read the Word. It's up to you to evangelize Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, preparation for worship for Sunday. We wait on man too much. We wait on man too much. We wait on man too much.
Amen. That's right.
That we forget that God's ready to move.
That's right.
And just pray.
God's able.
With the man with sickness, he was waiting on a person. The word says that he was waiting on a man to come put him in the water. Like this pastor. He didn't need a man. All he needed was Jesus.
That's right. That's right.
He didn't need somebody to come through and put him in the water when he was whining. He just needed the Son of God to come by and say, you don't even need the water anymore. Take up thy bed and walk. Friends, tonight we're waiting on something, but a lot of us aren't waiting on God.
That's right.
A lot of us, we want something, but some of us, we don't want God. The important man answered him, sir, I have no man. And the water is troubled to put me in the pool. But while I'm coming another step down before me, Jesus said unto him, rise, pick up thy bed and walk. Tonight we each need to experience God. Maybe you need healing. Maybe you need to be filled with God's Spirit. Maybe you need to just come down, allow God to touch your heart. Maybe you need to just press through all the emotions, everything of this world holds you back just to touch the Him. The last thing you need is to wait on this man, because I'll fail you. Friends, tonight you need Jesus.
That's right.
To come by and to touch you. Could we play some sort of song? Could we all stand tonight? Each and every one of us, let's stand with every head bowed and every eye closed. I want you to just worship with me for a moment. Could we just lift our hands to heaven and worship God? Let me engage you in some worship. Come on, lift your hands. Tell Him how much you love Him. God, I love you. Come on, church, be vocal with me. God, I love you. If that's all you can say, God, I love you.
Lord Jesus, for what you have.
You're so wonderful.
God, it is you and you alone, Lord God, that does, Lord Jesus, our lives.
Jesus, I love you.
It is you and you alone, God, that heals us. It's you and you alone, God, that gives us hope.
How many of us are set up on the porch? We're not ready to step in the water. We're too scared. We're too self-righteous. We're waiting on a man. We don't believe. So many of us are sitting on the porch with every head bowed and every eye closed. I'm going to ask you, who's ready to step into the water tonight? Would you raise your hand and wave it at me? I see you. I see you. With every head bowed, every eye still closed. Nobody's looking around. Nobody. Can I tell you something? Can I let you in on a secret? Nobody cares what you're doing right now. Let's get along with God. On the count of 3, I'm just step in and stand at this altar place. Let me pray with you. 1, 2, 3. Come out. Come stand. Come stand at the altar. Come on, right now, right now. Come on, young people, stand at this altar. Begin to worship God. Say, God, I want to get into the troubled water. God, I want to come by and be touched by you. Come on, adults. Don't let these teenagers pray by themselves. Let's find someone to pray with. Come on, come on. God, we don't want to stand on the porch. We don't want to wait anymore for what